All right, and we're live. So this video here is going to be essentially covering from A to Z how to create an entire offer using AI tools for a specific person. So I'm going to get into like the example we're using. I'm using an example of a YouTube creator who stopped posting a little while ago, but I'm going to analyze the offer stack that he ran in the past, and then essentially what I would change that to if I was the operator for him specifically, or if I was him and I was just running this offer to my audience. And I'm going to show you a bunch of live demos of how you could figure out exactly who the ICP is, their thought process, what they're looking for. And then I'm going to show like figuring out the desired transformation that people are there to achieve, unique mechanism, all that stuff. We're going to create all of that within Google AI Studio, kind of similar to what I did in my last video with the context profiles and all of the context engineering. But yeah, that's pretty much what this entire video here is going to cover. So let's just get right into the beginning of the Miro board here. So we're going to be creating an entire offer from start to finish, and throughout this entire thing I'm going to be sharing my entire thought process and everything that I'm thinking and why specifically I am thinking it. So if you're a creator, you're someone who's creating your own offer, you could kind of understand the thought process that goes into this, so you could do this yourself. Or if you're like an operator, someone helping out someone with their offer, you're going to be able to understand this entire process better as well. So yeah, so just to start, this is the specific guy I'm going to use for it. So it would be a BizOp offer because he's in the ATM business. He's teaching people how to essentially get into the ATM business, and then obviously make money through this mechanism. So I think the mechanism here is they make money through credit processing fees. So we're going to use him as an example. As you can see, he stopped posting 2 years ago. I hope he doesn't care that I'm using him as an example in this video. I don't think it should be too big of a deal, but yeah, he is going to be the example. And we're going to get kind of right into the offers that he ran in the past. So let's take a quick look at some of those. So his funnel structure was very simple, and back then it was simpler. So he was literally just running a static course that he was pushing everyone to. As you could see, the landing page is not too hot, nothing too crazy about it, honestly pretty bad. But yeah, he called it ATM Genius Academy, unlock a 100K stream of passive income with our comprehensive ATM business course. Here he had a short little 1-minute video, pretty bad video to be honest, but whatever, maybe it was working in the past. I don't actually know if it was working. This video here is just going to cover what I would run if I was him, and then all the research that goes into that and all the tools that I use to create the entire offer. So this is the main course that he was pushing everyone to, just a bunch of static video modules. People go through it, watch them, and then implement the stuff. And then he also had a ebook lead magnet, which was off center on desktop, which was pretty funny. But essentially the idea here is he collects name, email, phone number, and then yeah, they get an ebook in return. I'm sure that's just sent over email. They could read through that, and then hopefully that gets them interested. They start to get more knowledge and stuff like that, and then they're like more inclined to purchase his course basically. And he's able to retarget them with their contact information here. But just a quick note, if you are going to include opt-ins like this for any sort of lead magnet, I would not do a separate landing page. So I wouldn't, like at this point, I would definitely not have an entire new landing page for some kind of a lead magnet. And a quick note on the phone number. If you ask for a phone number as an opt-in, your opt-ins are probably going to decrease around 25%. So that is like the general range you're going to see a decline from. So if you're just asking for name, email, it's going to be 25% higher. So you always want to be factoring this into your economics and be like genuinely considering it, because the opt-in rate on name, email, phone, and just name and email is not the same. It's going to be way higher, about 25% higher just for name and email. And that's just a rough estimate. It's going to vary like depending the niche and all that stuff, but that's just something to consider there. So this was his offer stack, course, ebook, and then as you could see, the course was the main offer he was driving all the organic traffic to. It was his primary offer, his flagship, whatever you want to call it. And at this point in time, static courses do not work as well as they used to. They were kind of like ran through. People know that just going through a course and not being able to communicate to the actual person, ask questions, all that stuff, it does not work that well. People just get stumped and they will just give up, and then you'll get a bunch of bad reviews and stuff like that. So static courses are pretty burnt at this point. Like there is correct ways to do it, and there's a lot of people that are still making a lot of money with courses, and the courses are legitimately good. And usually these are the ones with a community aspect to it as well, where people could ask questions, they could engage, they could figure out all of the issues that they're encountering. So that is something to consider there. And then here, quick little meme, whatever. We're just gonna move on from that. But so given we know static courses do not work that well anymore, what's a very basic offer stack that he could specifically run in his funnel? So we're going to get into that here. And then this is going to primarily just consist of two basic things. So one is going to be a high ticket offer, one is going to be a low ticket offer. The most basic offer stack, the most basic funnel you could run, where essentially you have a low ticket option, which could just be like a basic community, and then a high ticket option, which is going to be either group coaching or one-on-one coaching. So you could run both at once as well. There's a lot of people that do this, kind of depending on the volume. So if you're not pushing that much volume, and you could theoretically coach everyone one-on-one, I would definitely do that, because you could charge more. You could work with these people, kind of figure out a system for it, and then as soon as it starts getting kind of like out of hand and you can't really scale, then you transition into group coaching, or you do a mix of both. And I've also seen people kind of take their most successful students and they've made them coaches within the program as well. So that's just some food for thought there. But yeah. All right, so now we're going to kind of get more into depth into the actual low ticket aspect of this. So the community that he would run, like if I was helping him out, kind of like running all this stuff. And the low ticket offer would just be a basic Discord or school community. Probably for him off the top of my head right now, because I haven't run any of the research. We're going to run all that research through together. I'm going to be showing that entire process. But just based on what I know about a niche like this, the audience is definitely going to skew older and is going to be a lot less tech savvy probably. That's why they're looking at this specific business model. So I'd probably honestly go with school. And school is definitely not as good as Discord. Discord is very versatile. You could do a lot of stuff with it. But yeah, for this, I'd probably pick school. And then for it specifically, I wouldn't do an MRR play where you're charging a certain amount monthly, because there's only so much information to cover in this specific niche. Like, it's very like simple. Like essentially when you're pushing someone into this business model, they probably have to purchase the ATMs, install them, get approval for them. There's probably a whole process there that you have to learn. But once you understand that entire process, you could just kind of keep doing this in different locations, and it's a very simple business model. So for the community, I would definitely do a one-time fee. I would not be charging monthly for it, because people are going to get pissed off. And yeah, and then within the actual school community, before it's actually launched and he pushes it out for people to join, I would definitely have a bunch of like course like video modules in there for people to consume right away. And then I would probably be running weekly calls, if he could do that, within the actual group here, where people could get their questions answered and stuff like this. So yes, let's cover everything we covered so far. So there's going to be course-like materials, video modules that they could consume in the school community when they join, so they don't leave right away. This is a very important thing. And then there's going to be weekly group calls specifically within the school community. So you don't want to be running one-on-one calls, obviously, because it's a low-ticket community. And then it's going to be a one-time fee, which I've explained before, because there's only like the only time like I've seen like charging MRR for a specific community do better is when there's like really up-to-date information on certain things. So you could think about a trading Discord, for example. Every day there's new information, there's new news coming out, there's new stocks, there's new this, that, there's just always new plays. So you could easily like justify charging monthly for that. But for something like this, we're going to go with a one-time fee. Now, the primary reason why I've decided to inject the low ticket community into his specific funnel is only for the purpose of ascension. So the primary goal of low ticket is to give these buyers value and ascend as many people as you can to high ticket, obviously if they're interested or if it's a good fit or whatever, because you don't want to be pushing people into a higher ticket offer if they're not super interested and stuff like that. They didn't get value from the low ticket community. That's just gonna, that people are gonna charge back. People are gonna be pissed. There's gonna be negative comments, stuff like that. So you don't want to push anyone that's not interested, but this is the primary goal of the low ticket community. You want to be ascending these people into the high ticket coaching specifically. So now just to get into the high ticket coaching aspect, it's literally, let's just simplify it down. Let's assume, because he had 20,000 subscribers getting a certain amount of view. Yeah, initially I would definitely start out with one-on-one coaching, where it's him on calls with these specific people. He's kind of gauging where they're at with the entire process, figuring them out. And then since it is one-on-one, it's very personalized, and he's able to give these people the best results. And as soon as he's worked with a couple dozen people, stuff like that, then you could obviously transition this to a group coaching model. It's a lot more scalable. You could have a bunch of people on the calls, and you probably have a structured curriculum at this point. So when you've worked with a couple dozen people one-on-one, the same issues pop up over and over and over again. So you could create video modules for them and then have these set, provide them with that, just solve their issues very quickly. So this is going to be the primary offer. He's running a high ticket. And then in terms of the pricing, that's actually something I forgot to mention here. But for a YouTube audience, this would probably, for this business model, I would say probably to start out with for one-on-one in the 3 to 4K range, and the time frame I'm also not sure of. So the time frame, pricing, all this stuff we're going to get very specific on when I go through the live demos, but this is, yeah, it would definitely probably be between the 3 to 5K range for an offer like this, but we shall see when we do the research. So yeah, this is the funnel. You have low ticket, ascends into high ticket, or if they're just primarily watching him on YouTube, then they could go straight to his high ticket. So that's something I'm going to quickly explain here. So from what I saw, his Instagram was not very active. He was primarily active on YouTube, and since YouTube is just a higher quality demographic, you could push all the traffic from YouTube straight to the high ticket as top of funnel and downsell all the people to the low ticket community that don't convert from YouTube. So that is what you want to do there. And I didn't check TikTok. I don't know if he has a TikTok, but let's say he was posting a bunch of like TikToks. He was garnering a bunch of views there. What you want to do with these people that are like, if you're generating traffic from short form, you essentially want to be pushing these people to a low ticket community first, where they could get like a sample view, they could get value from the community. And if these people are interested, you essentially ascend them to the coaching, like we were describing before. But yeah, short form, you want low ticket as top of funnel. You only want to be leading with one link there, and that's the low ticket community, and then ascend them, like I said. And then for YouTube, you want only one link as top of funnel, and that's gonna be the coaching offer, since it's a higher quality audience. And there's a bunch of different actual technical funnel structures you could do, which I'm going to describe later on. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this section. This is going to be the very basic, very simple kind of like offer stack, offer structure that he's going to be running for this. All right, so boom, now we know the funnel structure that we're actually going to implement for him and be pushing on his social media channels. So what about actually creating the high ticket offer and getting very specific on all the details there? So first, we're going to have to figure out who his target audience is by scraping his comment sections and utilizing a bunch of his YouTube video transcripts. So this is what I like to do. I like to essentially go through all the YouTube video transcripts, and you could essentially prompt AI, be like, hey, with these types of videos and the titles and the thumbnails of them specifically, what type of audience is he going to be attracting? And then like when you're scraping all of the comment sections and stuff like that, you could get an idea for the exact language and the exact issues that his audience is encountering. So this is very important here, and it makes it very easy to essentially create the entire offer. So now we're going to get to the live demo of actually doing this. All right, so now I went on his specific channel and I clicked the most popular videos, and I just clicked this one for a starter. So I'm going to just be pasting a bunch of his most relevant videos off his YouTube channel, and I just picked this one because it's a very good one. Don't start an ATM business until you watch this video. So this is specifically capturing people that have been thinking about doing it or are currently doing it. And yeah, this just is attracting his target ICP. So when we filter the comments here specifically, we're going to be able, scrape the comments here, we're going to be able to essentially understand his target audience. And then we're going to copy and paste this video transcript as well. So I'm going to do this for a bunch of his videos and a bunch of his different comment sections and stuff like that. I'm not going to show all them because this video is just going to get way too long, but I'm going to show specifically how to do it for this video, so you have a general idea of how to do this when creating your own offer, like doing your own work. So for transcript, it's very simple. You go in the description, transcript, show transcript, and then you would go in here. And then let's just copy and paste. Oh shoot. So like what you have to do is like align it like this, and then it goes. Very weird, but it works. So now we go here. All right, great. We have the video transcript, and there's 700 comments here. So we're not going to grab all of them. Maybe if you're doing your own, you could grab all of them, but this guy here, tons of comments on this video. So I'm going to copy and paste as much as I loaded. Oh, wow. This is slow. Let's see if I go from bottom up if it's faster, because I loaded a bunch of his comments already, so you guys didn't have to sit through and watch that. But boom. All right, let's see. Start from here. Oh my god, this is very slow. Jeez. There we go. Okay, we got it going. I went a little bit too far. All right, whatever. Hopefully that pastes. Okay, there we go. So we got a bunch of the comments now. And I'm going to do this for a bunch of other videos. And essentially what this allows us to do is figure out the exact language and the exact questions that the like ideal customer is essentially asking for an offer like this. And then we are also kind of like gauging what he's speaking about in the videos, and we're able to model the ideal customer for that. So once I copy and paste a bunch of those in here, I'm going to show you the exact prompt that I am going to use to essentially figure out who his ideal customer is. All right, so now I've inserted a lot more of the comment sections and then specific transcripts of videos. So there's a bunch, we have a lot of information we're essentially working with now. I also added the link to his general channel videos and then turned on URL context here so it could kind of browse the web and do some research of its own. And then I went to ChatGPT here and I told it to create a specific like JSON file at the end. So this is, I kind of elaborated on this more in my video, but this is called context engineering, and basically you could create these reusable context profiles that essentially establish whatever you're trying to do, and then it's reusable. So like whatever you're doing, if you're writing an email, you could inject this JSON context profile of the specific customer, and then when you're writing emails, like the large language model will understand exactly who you're trying to target with these emails. So that's the general idea there. If you're still confused on this specific section, go check out my last video. I explained this a lot more clearly. It's better there. But this prompt here essentially gets very specific on how we're exactly going to extract the ICP from his YouTube video transcripts and the comment section. So we're just going to take this here. We're going to copy and paste it and then throw it into Google AI Studio. We're going to remove these sections here. Let's see. Let's remove this. And then boom, we're gonna run it and I'm gonna show you the output when it's done. All right, so now we have the structured output. So we have the plain text one and then we have the JSON file. So this JSON file we could store somewhere like in a Google Doc, and whenever we need to reuse it, then we could reuse it specifically. But this is literally perfect. But as you could see here above, we have the entire breakdown. So it kind of like creates a snapshot of the entire market, primary ICP. So it establishes their identity, the aspiring action taker, likely 25 to 45 with savings to invest, approximately 5 to 10K, but limited time and business experience, their core pain point, their goals, motivation, their motivation specifically for high ticket, and then the audience segment. So it broke this down into 3 specific things, which is the cautious analyst, the aspiring action taker, the curious dreamer. This is specifically based off of the comment section. So depending on the types of questions people are asking, it created these categories, and we just have this entire breakdown here. So now we're going to get back to the Miro board. All right, so now we've perfectly modeled his target customer. We understand a lot about them, a lot more than when I was just kind of guessing in the start of this video. But now we're going to get actually specific on the nitty-gritty technical components he would actually be teaching as a coach. So I'm going to go back to his YouTube channel and I'm going to find very technical videos where he's actually explaining the logistics of the business model, stuff like this, copy and paste those transcripts, throw them back into Google AI Studio, and then create an entire output of that. I already showed you how to pretty much take the YouTube transcripts, pretty much stuff like that, go through the comment section, so I'm not going to do it again. So I'm going to do this, throw that into Google AI Studio, create another prompt, and then I'm going to show you guys that. All right, so now I have a bunch of different transcripts here within Google AI Studio. I basically took a lot more like technical videos, pasted them in here, and then I created a prompt within ChatGPT that's going to essentially deconstruct the entire business model, figure it all out. And then it's a very simple thing where we're going to have another structured JSON output so we could reuse these profiles later when actually getting very clear on the offer and creating it. So you could kind of read through this yourself. I'm not going to read through all this, but essentially it's extracting all of the technical components of the business model and getting very specific on that. So we're just going to copy and paste this here, go into Google AI Studio, paste that in, delete the extra sections because I have OCD. Let's see. There we go. Now we're going to run this, and then I'm going to get back to you when the output is done. All right, so now we have an entire deconstruction of the entire business model, so an entire explanation here, very specific on everything, and then we also have the JSON output that we're going to be reusing. So now I'm going to get back to the Miro board and then continue with this entire explanation. All right, so now we know who his target customer is, and understand all the technical components of the business model he's going to be teaching. So now we could craft like different concepts and ideas for the desired transformation that he's going to be selling for the exact person that we want to offer a high ticket to, and figure out his mechanism, unique mechanism for delivering it. So whatever's special about him, whatever, that's not our job to figure out. We already have tons of context there from the comment sections, YouTube transcripts that we pasted into Google AI Studio. So now it's going to be a very simple process where I create an entire prompt in ChatGPT, send that into Google AI Studio, and then we're going to get very specific on the desired transformation that we're going to be selling to these people, and then the entire unique mechanism. So I'm going to meet you guys back at or within ChatGPT. All right, so boom, now we have the prompt to extract the desired transformation and proprietary mechanism from his YouTube video transcript. So we have the entire thing, similar JSON structure. We're gonna extract everything out through so we could reuse it later. And yeah, I'm just gonna copy and paste this in, same process as before, very simple process where you go into Google AI Studio. And then we're just gonna paste this prompt in here, delete the extra sections, whatever. There we go. Now we are just going to simply run it, and then I'm going to get back to you guys when the output is finished. All right, so this is perfect now. So we have the entire desired transformation. We have the mechanism, why it's high ticket specifically, so the justification for it. This is based on his YouTube video transcripts, comment sections, and then we have the structured JSON output. So now we have 3 context profiles. One for the desired transformation, unique mechanism, proprietary mechanism, whatever you want to call it, his exact ICP. And then what was the second one? Let's see, with ICP. And then we have the technical nitty-gritty components of the business model. So now there's a bunch of different profiles you could make. For this video, for simplicity's sake, we're going to be using these 3, and then using all of this context that we have here so far, we have enough to create the entire offer and get very clear on exactly what he's going to be offering all of the people who watch his YouTube videos as a high ticket program. So I'm going to get back to you in the Miro board, and then we're going to continue from there. So now, as I've already said, we have his target audience, what he's going to teach, the desired transformation, and the unique mechanism in which how he's going to help them get there. And all that would be left pretty much if he was actually building this out is figuring out the exact specific mechanism he would like to sell the high ticket program, whether that be a VSL, whether that be a webinar, or whatever he wants to run, challenge, funnel. Those are really popular right now. But we're not going to cover that in this specific video. And yeah, this is pretty much all that's left. So I'm going to go back to Google AI Studio now and use the 3 profiles that we've generated and get very clear exactly on what his offer is going to be. All right, so now we're within ChatGPT, and we have an entire prompt to build the entire high ticket offer from the context profiles, transcripts, and comment sections. And this prompt is pretty detailed here only because now, as I've mentioned before, way earlier in the video, we have to figure out the pricing and the time frame. And because this is a physical business model where the students are actually going to have to go out and negotiate certain deals, like pricing structures, so they could actually input the ATMs into these physical locations, it is, from the context I have currently, it's going to take a little bit longer. So that's going to have to be reflected in the pricing, just because if the program is longer, it's going to have to be more expensive. So this entire prompt here, you could kind of pause the video and read through it. I'm not going to read through it all, but I'll scroll through it. Is essentially determining all of that through all of the context that I've given into Google AI Studio. And we're not outputting this one in the JSON format because we just want to read through it in plain text, like in a Google Doc or something. And this is the structure we're printing out. So I'm going to take this entire prompt here, throw it into Google AI Studio, see what it comes up with. So let's just copy this. Let's go into Google AI Studio now. Let's see, final output requirement, and then let's delete this top section. Let's run it, and I'm gonna, oh shoot, there we go. Sorry guys. All right, thank God, because this is a temporary chat, so if I accidentally left this, then that would be an issue. But yeah, so now I'm gonna run this and then get back to you when it's done. All right, so now I copied and pasted that prompt from ChatGPT into Google AI Studio, and the output here is really nice. So here it pretty much describes everything, policies, boundaries of the thing, proof and credibility he's going to actually be leveraging, which is going to be his experience, the pricing and payment options. So it has decided on a 4,500 PIF amount, and then for a payment plan you could have 3 monthly payments of $1,650. So it's another thing you could do. With these types of high ticket programs though, it's oftentimes very flexible. And especially if you could qualify for financing and the offer is generating enough to qualify for that specifically. Let's say you could start with even 1,500. Let's see, I'm trying to think through the economics, but yeah, it could be around like 1,500, 2,000 initially, and the rest could be done through financing. But $4,500 does seem like a good price point for this specific offer. And then you have the timeline. So the program duration is going to be 12 weeks of active coaching and support. It's going to be a fast path to first revenue. So a highly motivated client can secure a location and have their first operational asset in as little as 4 to 6 weeks. And then you just have like some additional information there, the actual coaching format and support. So there's going to be an onboarding call where there's going to be a private one-on-one strategy call to map out the client's personal goals and timeline, where they're currently at, weekly group coaching calls where everyone in the actual coaching program could hop in, and there's going to be more kind of like direct one-on-one support in between. And then the actual materials, you could see all the modules laid out here, different kinds of like toolkits that he could provide them specifically. And then the unique mechanism, which is going to be the transformation is delivered through a proprietary framework. Can't speak there, but the residual asset stacking system. This is not a generic list of instructions, whatever. De-risked foundation. The program begins immediately solving two of the most intimidating challenges. We provide clients with a vetted list of ATM-friendly small banks and credit unions. So just kind of supplying them with locations and stuff like this. The no-brainer acquisition method. So there's going to be specific in-person scripts, phone scripts to actually secure these locations, and the profit snowball system. So once the first asset is generating revenue, we implement a disciplined financial strategy for scaling. This phase provides the exact formula for reinvesting 100% of the initial profits into acquiring the next asset, so you're essentially getting it for free. So as you could see, I'm going through it. I'm not going to read through all of this. This is a full kind of like program breakdown though, based on all of the context that we've gathered from his specific YouTube channel. And this is a really great offer. You could honestly tweak it in a few locations, like the guarantee. The guarantee it had was pretty weak, as you saw when I was scrolling through it before. But just with scraping some of his YouTube video transcripts, going through the comment sections, figuring out who his customer is, we were able to form this entire little page here that describes his entire offer. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to go back to the Miro board now. And then as I was describing before, I mentioned this point briefly here, but all that he would have to do is kind of decide on the exact mechanism he's going to be selling this high ticket program through, or it could be a combination of both. So there's some people that will have a landing page, and on the landing page they'll have a VSL straight to application, and then they'll be running webinars simultaneously. So different people convert with different mechanisms. If someone is way too skeptical, or if you know personally that your audience is very skeptical and they just do not trust the model, maybe they're not like fully sure in you or something like that, then a webinar is going to be probably where you're gonna have to run, just because it's gonna be 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours long. You could handle so many objections, cover so much information, and then people are gonna be a lot more ready to invest in something like this after. It is a little bit harder to coordinate a webinar, so it's harder to run something like this. But if you have a more skeptical audience, that's gonna be more effective. VSL is gonna be good for an audience that is, let's say, like organic. The thing is, I don't want to dive into all of these details here, but then you have the VSL length. You have to kind of think through whether your audience is problem aware, solution aware, kind of figure out which stage that they're at. If they're more skeptical, VSL is going to have to be a little bit longer, cover a lot more details. And we're not going to be going through all of that in this video here specifically, but these conversion mechanisms are very important to think through, and it's also important to get this specifically right. There was some kind of short videos I made earlier on in this channel which covered this specific subject, but yeah, not going to get too deep into it in this video. But I had some spelling errors here, but pretty much if you're someone who's helping someone else build out their offer, or you are a creator of your own, building out your own offer, kind of thinking through it, hopefully this video showed you some of the inner workings and thought process that actually goes into creating an offer, all the stuff you have to consider. And yeah, this was a pretty big, let's see if I could zoom out. This was a pretty big board here. Went through a bunch of different information, but all of this here should specifically help you out, and you should understand kind of from A to Z how to think through it, how to figure out who your audience is, and then obviously you as the creator know your exact business model, so you know exactly what you are trying to teach these people, like what you're offering. So that's going to be easy for you to do. You could create profiles of that and then essentially use Google AI Studio like I showed you. And then yeah, that's pretty much it for this entire Miro board. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the entire motherboard, as I said before. But if you're a creator and you have your own offer that you're thinking of running, maybe you have one part of an offer stack and you're thinking about kind of making an entire ecosystem and stuff like that, I have a Calendly link in my About Me page on this channel, so you could book in a call there. I could see what I could specifically help you with. But me and my partner essentially run as operators in the back end of these offers, and we run all the back end stuff. We do all the copywriting for offer creation. We pretty much figure out and do all of the dirty work, so you could just pretty much run all of your content, make your videos, and then focus on actually fulfilling on the offer. So if you're interested in that, my Calendly link is in my About Me page here, so you could book in a call. I could see what I could help you out with. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. So hopefully this was helpful and you have a way better understanding of how to actually go through and create an offer. And there is some nuance to it, but this is pretty much going to cover 80% of what you need to know when actually creating an offer.